Welcome again to our public diplomacy course. And this is Module 5 we will be introducing. It is Module 5 focuses on public and cultural diplomacy campaigns. And these public diplomacy campaigns are what, if you are a diplomat or you're working in any kind of international organization, you could be official for a nation or state or an international organization, or maybe you have your own plan for some kind of citizen diplomacy campaign. These campaigns should always be, these diplomatic campaigns that are for public diplomacy or in cultural diplomacy should be geared and designed to achieve the overall diplomatic objectives, the overall to promote the major diplomatic strategy in some way using particular campaigns. So you can have many small campaigns that are part of a larger campaign. I repeat this about the importance of having your campaign designed to mirror and to promote the overall objectives. They should not be sort of separate. Like, for example, you can have a musical diplomacy, and it should be designed for reasons that are connected to the overall strategy. And the overall strategy or the overall objectives might, in a country, for example, be to promote better relations with the people of that country. Well, that's very general sounding, but the fact is that a musical concert or an art exhibit or a sporting event or a speech by a visiting statesman from one country to another, all of these can be used to promote better relations with the people of the country. So in other words, you just don't have it over on the side, separate from the overall objective, whatever it is. This is very important. What we're going to do in this module is we're going to learn how to design such public and cultural diplomacy campaigns. We're going to learn in lesson 1 about the preparation. What all do we have to do? All the research that needs to be done, all the information that we must gather, for example, about the media, in order to begin. This is part of the preparation of your public and cultural diplomacy campaigns. You don't just put it out there without some kind of research, with a lot of preparatory work. Lesson 2, we're going to talk about how do you design it? What is included in the design? We're going to look, there's about 11 items, beginning with strategic objective, the message, outreach to the media, the cost, the resources needed, the partnerships. All of these are going to be part of the design, and then how to implement. And that is lesson 2, design and implementation. In lesson 3, we're going to talk about evaluation. And evaluation of public and cultural diplomacy campaigns is extremely important. As you might imagine, it's often very difficult to show how public diplomacy or cultural diplomacy brings a certain revenue or achieves a certain result. The reason is that it is often, the results are often over a long period of time. For example, in the case of educational exchanges, which are a kind of cultural diplomacy, educational diplomacy, it is very difficult to measure the really long-term effect of bringing students to one country and having them study in a particular country. So, but even though it's hard to say, yes, over 30 years, 50 years, that campaign was very successful. Those people loved the country. They never forgot the country. it had a big impact. But you can't measure it. It's very hard to measure that. But you can find small ways to measure the impact from people's writing, from their speeches, from what they go back and do, of things they say while they're in the country, just as an example. So in any cultural and public diplomacy campaign, it is important to include different kinds of evaluation, not just at the end, because much of cultural diplomacy is very long lasting. It's important to have evaluation techniques and methods included within the design of the campaign. And we're going to talk a lot about this. This is, this is all sort of the big picture that we're going to be talking about. But what I think you're going to find very exciting in this module number 5 is that you are going to come up with your own campaign, your own kind of campaign using this model, this template, and it's something that you will be able to take with you from this course and use in all kinds of endeavors, in diplomatic endeavors that you may embark on in your future. So I'm very excited. I always love this part, module 5, learning about public and cultural diplomacy campaigns and preparing them, designing and implementing them, and evaluating them. So welcome to module 5. Welcome to our module number 6 in our course on public diplomacy. Module number 6 focuses on what we're going to conclude with, which is the exchange of best practices, the sharing of our public and cultural diplomacy campaigns with each other in discussion, and then our general conclusions. In this, of course, we're going to review all the previous 5 modules, which we've been through, the module 1, which was the introduction to public diplomacy, module 2, which was the introduction to cultural diplomacy, module 3, which were about 21st century tools and techniques, the public diplomacy toolbox, and cultural diplomacy practices, module 4, where we talked a lot about diplomacy and the media. We focused on how to deal with the media, how to learn to work with the media in order to promote diplomacy and to get good and fair coverage in the news. And in module 5, which was our last one, we looked at and learned about how to design and implement and evaluate public and cultural diplomacy campaigns, including each of our own. And that was what we did in number 5. And now in number 6 module, we're going to share these. And we're going to talk about the sharing, and we're going to talk about, in the text of the course material, we'll look at many of the best practices that we've been learning about. But also in our discussion forum, we're each going to be sharing best practices that we have observed or learned in the course or learned from our own work on designing public and cultural diplomacy campaigns. So this is, well, all of our modules have been very active and will be very active in terms of our discussion and sharing ideas. But in this final number 6 module, we're going to be interacting a lot and sharing in a diplomatic way, of course, discussing each other's public and cultural diplomacy campaigns and sharing ideas that we've learned of how to make public diplomacy work best, cultural diplomacy, how to have cultural diplomacy campaigns that are successful and win the hearts of people all over the world. So this, as I said, throughout the whole course on public diplomacy, we're going to have a lot of interaction with each other and sharing ideas. But in this module number 6, I would say that we're going to do the most. We're also going to look at the idea of, we're going to look at training needs, the whole idea. Well, so this course, of course, is a training in how to practice public diplomacy and cultural diplomacy. And then we're going to look at, well, okay, that means that nations, diplomatic corps, and international organizations, and also local organizations need also to have such training as we've been having in this public diplomacy course. So I am very excited about this, especially because this module 6 is really where we exchange our most ideas, which come at the conclusion of this course. So welcome to module 6 and welcome to our whole public diplomacy course. Thank you.